Jaya ma'am, your mic is off. Thank you, Kamlamini ma'am, Professor Asha Shukla ma'am, Sinta ma'am for giving me this opportunity. A brief introduction about the webinar. So technology has inbuilt advantages and disadvantages to the mankind. Amidst of globalized world, the invention of advanced technologies has been a wonderful gift to the human beings. Cyberspace is a concept describing a widespread interconnected digital technology. The expression date backs from the first decade of the diffusion of the internet. It refers to the online world as a world apart, as distinct from everyday reality. The communication media has shrunk the world to smaller size. In spite of these advantages, many societies being still patriarchal in nature, the cyberspace has become less safer place for women. In addition, the cyberspace poses greater threat to human beings and kids on the whole. In spite of the fact that India is one of the very few countries to enact IT Act 2000 to combat cybercrime, issues regarding women still remain untouched in this act. Cybercrime against women and girls is a widespread problem from the time we started using Android phones and other technologies. Today, the internet has become an integral part of human life, and increase in the use of uh, internet was seen during COVID-19 pandemic period. The significant increase in usage of internet by children and women without proper knowledge has made them vulnerable to cybercrimes. Actual stay back of family members within home during the pandemic has paved way to spend more time on popular social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, WhatsApp, and Snapshot, and on the other internet without being fully aware of the threats posed by cyberspace. Countries all across the globe are reporting an increase in cybercrime during the pandemic, like fake investment promises, fake and inappropriate sale of drugs and medical equipments. The personal information given on social media website can be stolen by hackers and shared with those involved in cybercrimes. Most cyber stalkers target women, girls, and children because they are more vulnerable. Cybercrime against women can be challenging to control or stop as the attackers are oftentimes faceless. The attackers can be your next door neighbor and relatives or a person in a different geographical location or other countries. With this small prelude of introduction to the webinar concept, the Department of Women Studies, Bhattiyar University, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Sciences, Mahoo, Madhya Pradesh, in collaboration with University Grants Commission, New Delhi, plan to organize this international webinar on cybercrime against women during COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, I welcome respected Professor Asha Shukla ma'am, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Sciences, Mahoo, Madhya Pradesh, Dr. P. Kaliraj, Vice Chancellor of Bhartiya University, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, Dr. Zanita Rosaline ma'am, Professor and Director, Department of Women Studies, Bhartiya University. I welcome distinguished keynote speakers of the webinar, Professor Susan Shaw, Professor of Women, Gender and Sexuality Studies, Oregon State University, USA. Deepika Suri, ma'am, IG, State Disaster Emergency Response Force, Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Ravikant, President Shakti Vahini, Advocate Supreme Court of India, Faridabad, Haryana. Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan, Associate Lecturer of English, Singapore University of Social Sciences, and Program Coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Kamla Mini ma'am, Assistant Professor at Department of Women Studies, Bhartiya University, Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta, Women Studies Department, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Sciences, Mahoo. I welcome all the faculty members, students, and other friends present in the webinar. It's a great opportunity to meet you all in this virtual platform. We'll start the webinar with a small prayer. So I request Kamla Mini ma'am to start the program with a prayer.
கருவாக்கி உருவாக்கி எதையாண்டு காத்தருடும் இறைவா நன்றி. எங்கும் நிறைந்தோனே, எல்லை இல்லாதானே, எங்கேயும் எப்போதும் என் குலம் காப்பவனே. நெஞ்சம் துணிய துணையாய் வருவாய், நேர்மறை உணர்வுகள் பெருகிடச் செய்வாய். உடலில் உறுதியை பெரிதாய் தருவாய், உனை உணரும் அறிவை என்னுள்ளருள்வாய். சுற்றமனைக்கும் காப்பவனே, செய்தொழிலில் ஏற்றம் தருபவனே, எடுத்த செயலில் வெற்றி கொடு, என் ஆற்றல் பெருகிட அருளை கொடு. உருவாக்கி எதையாண்டு காத்தருளும் இறைவா நன்றி. வல்லமை தந்து நீ வளர்ச்சி கொடு, அகத்திலும் புறத்திலும் மலர்ச்சி கொடு. வளர்ச்சி கொடு, வளர்ச்சி கொடு, வளர்ச்சி கொடு, வளர்ச்சி கொடு.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ma'am, before going to the session, I think Rajeshwari ma'am is there. Asha ma'am might leave after some time, so I just want to introduce. Ma'am is from Singapore, ma'am, and Susan ma'am is here. Rajeshwari ma'am, she's from OSU, and Asha ma'am is here. Please get introduced, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can call me Raji.
Asha ma'am.
Rajeshwari is
Asha ma'am
for you.
Asha ma'am, mic is off, ma'am.
Good
Hello,
morning,
Dr. Rajeshwari.
Thanks. Really nice meeting you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to me.
Dr. Susan Shah, nice meeting you today.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
My specialization is as well in gender studies. My doctorate is in Afro-American feminist theater.
Oh, very nice. Wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am. Jaya ma'am, you can proceed, ma'am.
I take this opportunity to introduce our first speaker, Professor Susan Shaw. She is Professor of Women, Gender and Sexuality Studies at Oregon State University. She holds an MA and PhD from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, and MAIS in Women's Studies and English from OSU, and a BA in English from Berry College in Rome. She is former director of OSU School of Language, Culture and Society and the Difference, Power and Discrimination DPD program. She has led numerous seminars at universities across the country on issues of power and privilege in the disciplines. She is co-author of the introductory Women and Gender Studies textbooks, Gendered Voices, Feminist Vision, Classic and Contemporary Readings in Women and Gender Studies. She is also author of What Speaks to Us Too, Southern Baptist Women on Church, Home and Society, and Reflective Faith, a Theological Toolbox for Women. She is executive editor of four-volume Encyclopedia of Women Lives Around the World. She has 14 publications and 7 presentations and 13 various awards to her credit. I invite Professor Susan Shaw for her address. Ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to be here, and I especially want to thank the hosts who have invited me, and I especially want to thank Drs. Zanita and Kamalavini, who have become not only colleagues but friends, and I'm always grateful for the opportunity to do anything that they ask, and so I'm very, very glad to be here, and I'm glad to make new acquaintances, and I hope that someday soon I can see you all in India when the situation improves. And so today, Dr. Kamalavini has asked me to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and gender violence. And so I'll sort of set a broader context, and I think subsequent speakers then will delve much more into the specifics of cybercrime. So I'm going to try now to share my screen. and start my slides. So let's see how this goes. There's that sharing with everyone.
No, ma'am, not it. Yeah, it's done.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. The stories are similar. Women, often women with children, were already living in vulnerable situations with men who abused them. Then came the pandemic lockdown, and people lost jobs, increasing the stresses and tensions already present in the relationship. Women were forced into ongoing proximity with abusers, unable to leave the home because of lockdown rules. The abuse escalated, often to the point that many women thought their abusers were going to kill them. Some women left for shelters, even in the middle of the pandemic. Some stayed and continued to suffer abuse. History tells us that in crises such as pandemics or natural disasters, incidences of gender-based violence increase. We know that gender-based violence is rooted in structural inequalities that make women and children especially vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown clearly how inequalities disproportionately harm already vulnerable women and children, as we have seen incredible increases in reports of gender-based violence. We also know that the risk of gender-based violence increase with emotional stress, economic strain, and shifting roles and responsibilities among family members. The executive director of UN Women called the combination of economic and health stresses and isolation during the lockdown a perfect storm for controlling violent behavior behind closed doors. Jackie Mulveen, the project manager of Women's Empowerment and Recovery Educators, an advocacy and support group in Birmingham, England, says, COVID doesn't make an abuser, but COVID exacerbates it. It gives them more tools, more chances to control you. The abuser, sorry, I lost my place. It popped out. Are you still seeing me? I got a note that said I wasn't presenting. Okay.
I think somebody has presented. Please ask that person to get out and then come inside the portal, ma'am, so that we can see. Ma'am, you just log out and just come in, ma'am. I mean, this presentation alone.
Okay, should I stop sharing and then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Now you can do, ma'am.
So I'll try again to see if.
Yes.
Okay, let me try again here.
Request to all participants, please don't share and please mute your mic and camera also. Thank you so much.
To the participants, ma'am, you can share, ma'am.
Okay, is it back on?
Yes, ma'am. It's back.
Okay, excellent. So COVID doesn't make an abuser, but COVID exacerbates it. It gives them more tools, more chances to control you. The abuser says, you can't go out. You're not going anywhere. And the government is also saying, you have to stay in. Around the world, the shadow pandemic of domestic violence has surged during lockdowns. As early as September 2020, a review of literature on gender violence in the pandemic found an alarming rise in gender-based violence. That study also found other risk factors for gender-based violence that coincided with lockdown, including economic insecurity and alcohol consumption. For example, already in India, almost a third of women between 15 and 49 years old experience spousal violence, although only 14% of these women seek help. After the 2020 lockdown in India, complaints of domestic violence doubled. Often, however, police officers to investigate domestic violence have been in short supply, and many women could not reach out to domestic violence support services because of the presence of their abusers. Researchers found that the stricter the lockdown, the greater the increase in domestic violence complaints in various districts throughout India. In India, rural women and women who are part of marginalized communities face additional gender-based COVID-related struggles. Families lost income as men migrated back to villages from urban areas. With markets closed, women who did home-based work like sewing no longer had that source of income. Forced marriages and child marriages rose, and many women experienced unwanted pregnancies. Indian Muslim women also faced a rise in Islamophobia as a false rumor spread suggesting that Muslims were purposefully spreading the virus to non-Muslims. Some Muslim women were even denied services at hospitals. The United Nations estimates that worldwide domestic violence incidents increased 20%. In Ireland, for example, Women's Aid reported a 43% increase in contacts from women reporting abuse. In Lebanon and Malaysia, the number of calls to domestic violence hotlines doubled over the previous year. In China, they tripled. Incidents of domestic violence increased by 25% in Argentina, 33% in Singapore, and 50% in Brazil. Interestingly enough, shortly after lockdown in the United States, calls to domestic violence hotlines dropped dramatically because women were not able to call safely, despite the fact that the U.S. saw over an 8% increase in domestic violence incidents during lockdown. Erica Sussman, Executive Director of the Center for Survivor Advocacy and Justice, a support and research organization in the United States, says, while 1 in 3 white women report having experienced domestic violence during the pandemic, the rates of abuse increased dramatically to about 50% and higher for those marginalized by race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, citizenship status, and cognitive physical ability. Cyberstalking and technology-facilitated gender-based violence have also been on the increase during the pandemic. Even before COVID, around 3/4 of girls and women experience cyber or technology-facilitated violence, and tech-facilitated violence is the most common type of intimate partner violence. Cyber abusers have had more time to victimize, and working at home and spending more time online has made many women more vulnerable to cyber violence. In India, researchers found that during the pandemic, increased time on social media, especially on Instagram and online gaming, created greater susceptibility to cyberbullying. The situation has been so bad that the head of the United Nations called for a ceasefire of domestic violence. Peace is not just the absence of war, he tweeted. Many women under lockdown for COVID-19 face violence where they should be safest, in their homes. Today, I appeal for peace in homes around the world. I urge all governments to put women's safety first as they respond to the pandemic. Of course, we know that while domestic violence occurs in all communities, it has a disproportionate effect on already marginalized people who have access to fewer resources to cope with upheaval, disaster, and abusive situations. Often, women who experience domestic violence are financially entangled with their abusers and do not have alternative resources for economic support. During the pandemic, this vulnerability has been exacerbated by job loss and long-term unemployment. Moreover, precautions enacted during the pandemic have created greater housing shortages, and shelters and hotels have had to limit capacity in order to meet social distancing guidelines. Furthermore, women with children faced additional stresses as schools closed and learning moved online. Many families lack computers or reliable internet access, and many children fell behind as they were unable for a variety of reasons to keep up with schoolwork. Additionally, many parents were considered essential workers and had to continue working despite the pandemic and needing to find childcare. All of these stresses also led to a rise in child abuse. Particularly in low and middle income countries, the pandemic exacerbated economic insecurity. One study found that the median share of households that reported a decrease in income was 70%, and 45% of households reported food insecurity. Already marginalized women and children have also been at increased risk for labor and sex trafficking during the pandemic. Economic insecurity and loss of housing make women and children vulnerable to trafficking. Additionally, many children worldwide have spent more time online, where they're more vulnerable to traffickers. They've had greater exposure to online predators who groom and exploit them. For example, in the United States, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children had almost a 98% increase in reports of online enticement of children in 2020 compared to 2019. The U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline had 40% more cases in the month following lockdown than in the previous month. Agencies also saw increased reports of parents and family members trafficking children. Increased international aid in response to the pandemic also increased vulnerability, given the history of sexual exploitation by aid workers in exchange for food and other kinds of assistance. Many women and girls also resorted to survival and transactional sex, which carries a high risk for violence. So what's to be done? Research suggests that we must begin by recognizing that gender-based violence will increase during pandemics and other crises, and so we must be prepared. What can we do? Incorporate a gender lens into all pandemic preparedness planning and include women and local women's organizations in leadership. Integrate gender-based violence into all national and local response plans. Be ready to increase staffing for first responders and hotlines and bolster communication and information sharing. Make sure first responders and healthcare professionals are equipped to address domestic violence, including identifying women who may be at risk of violence. Have plans in place to expand social services rapidly, including paid sick leave, unemployment insurance, direct cash or food voucher payments, and/or tax relief. Plan for surge housing for women and children who may need to leave abusive situations. Facilitate informal social networks where women may be more likely to disclose violence, such as family, friends, and coworkers. In particular, scale up virtual platforms for support networks that may provide opportunities for women unable to leave home. Try to mitigate mental health stress with clear information and emphasis on positive advances, community, and public benefits. Also provide additional support for mental health services. Provide bystander intervention training for communities so neighbors know how to intervene and support, and encourage reporting. Provide safe and accessible health care for gender-based violence. Take an intersectional approach, recognizing that some groups of people are more vulnerable than others, and diverse people call for diverse responses that are appropriate for specific groups. And work on creating gender equality in all areas of life. In India, Jugnu clubs are created by women tea pluckers and factory workers on tea estates in Assam. These clubs focus on safety and equality for women and girl agricultural workers. During the pandemic, the clubs have expanded their work to respond to the needs of women and girls, including those experiencing gender-based violence. Across India, women's self-help groups are having a positive impact on women's lives. These groups have produced 19 million masks during the pandemic and have set up community kitchens all over the country to feed hungry people. Other women's groups mobilized their communities to respond to the pandemic and raised awareness about COVID and how to keep safe. The feminist movement in India has advocated with the government for attention to women's issues. For example, they made sure relief packages had sanitary products in them. One group of Indian feminists took the government to court to require it to provide ambulances for pregnant women when all the ambulances were designated for COVID patients. While the problem of gender-based violence during COVID is tremendous, we are not without hope. People have organized to support survivors and try to prevent further violence. Around the world, people are coming together to demand change and to work for inclusion, equity, and justice. We can also use lessons learned from the pandemic to ready ourselves for the next crisis, so women and other vulnerable populations are not so at risk. The story does not have to be the same, and each of us can play a part in creating positive change. Thank you. And I will stop sharing now.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your brilliant presentation. It highlighted the issues related to increasing gender-based violence cases during this pandemic period, and you also suggested some points related what can be done in future. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are happy to have such an eminent personality with us. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, ma'am. Now, next, I would like to introduce our next speaker,
Excuse me 1 second, ma'am.
Suri, ma'am, IPS of
Ma'am, yeah, ma'am. I think
Yeah.
if Susan, ma'am, if you feel you are late, you can just leave, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, because it's night for them. Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you. It is nighttime here, so I think I will go get ready for
Yes, ma'am. Asha, Professor Asha, ma'am, is also here, ma'am. So you can just say bye and leave, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Goodbye. It was so nice to meet everyone. Thank you so much. And I will look forward to seeing you when the pandemic is ending. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Susan. Thank you so much. I was listening. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jaya, ma'am, you may proceed. Sorry to disturb you, ma'am.
Yeah. Next, I would like to introduce our next keynote speaker, Deepika Suri, ma'am, IPS of 1999 batch, is born on Madhya Pradesh cadre. She has served as Superintendent of Police in the district of Rajgarh, Dhar, Kharda, and Hoshangabad, and served at the center with CBI and the Cabinet Secretariat. Presently, she is IG Crime Against Women in Bhopal. Her areas of interest include organized crime, trafficking, and cyber policy. She has been awarded the Meritorious Service Medal in 2015. I invite Deepika Suri, ma'am, for her address. Ma'am, please.
Ma'am, just see if ma'am is in already. Manoj, sir. Manoj, sir. Just see if ma'am is already in, sir, or I'll just give her a call.
Deepika Suri ma'am not here.
Nee, I'm there. Actually, one more. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I'm with a different. I'm like
yes.
with my husband. This Nikunj. It must be showing as Nikunj.
Yes, yes. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
You want me to start right away or?
Ma'am, the introduction session is over. I think Asha ma'am is speaking, but her mic is on off, ma'am. She's speaking to you. Yeah, she'll just, yeah.
Welcome, Deepika.
Thank you, ma'am. Morning, ma'am.
Oh, floor is yours.
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, I'd actually switched on my phone. I'm sorry, the computer and joined, but I was a little away from the. I thought 9:35, so I thought I would come at that time, around that time. So good morning, and again, it's a very great pleasure to be here with. And I guess the best part is that. I feel I'm in touch with some very important topics, and I get to see and meet other people who are in this fair. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I thank Asha Shukla ma'am. I thank Brow University for giving me this opportunity to speak on this occasion. The topic which was mutually decided was on the issue of trafficking and asking the right questions. So one of the issues जो क्या कहते हैं हम लोग भी जब काम करते हैं and then we see what are the issues, we realize that somehow we are missing out. We're not asking the right pertinent questions related to crime against women. जैसे हम लोग जब डील करते हैं we see के or rather I would say that it's a matter of if one just analyzes, one sees the concept of victim blaming, the fact that being very confused about the issue of choice, the issue of consent, all those issues are very important. So I'll just start with my presentation. Just give me one moment. Just 1 second. Okay. I think, okay, just 1 minute, 1 minute. I'll have to do share screen first, okay?
Ma'am, you need to open your PPT on your desktop. Then
Yeah.
share that, ma'am.
Yeah. So,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
okay, now I guess I'm there. Right. So, asking the right questions. As far as COVID is concerned, we've seen that it has.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, ma'am. The PPT is not visible to the audience in the platform.
Okay,
So,
how come?
ma'am, you have to open the PPT on your desktop, then come to the virtual platform and give a share option there so that all of us can see.
Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am.
So, it's open right now. And then I did go in for share. Just 1 moment.
You need to come to the virtual platform, then give the share option, ma'am.
Please click on present now, ma'am. Option present now.
अच्छा प्रेजेंट हाँ तो मैंने एक सेकेंड अभी क्या कहते हैं your entire screen, right? And then
Open your PPT after that.
Okay.
Share your entire screen. After that, open your PPT.
It's still not visible. I'm so sorry.
No problem, ma'am. No problem. Do it slowly, ma'am. Ma'am, you come to the virtual platform. You have an option called as present now, near to the hand symbol.
Wait.
If possible, ma'am, please send me on send my WhatsApp. So
Yeah, I don't want to waste time, but I guess I can talk about it. I'll do that too, but I just like that I start talking about it because the later slides are the ones which are important, which have graphics. I can just talk about the issue so to begin with. So, one of the important things that one wants to discuss here is that trafficking has made people, children and girls vulnerable. And the reasons to do with that is that, like we have seen that unlike the first wave, जो second wave है, many more parents have, there have been instances where since mortality has been more, parents have been lost. And there are cases where both parents have been lost. So this has made the girls vulnerable, children vulnerable. And also because it's been over such a sustained period that there has been disruption in education. तो जैसे कि हम लोग भी घर में देखते हैं, I have 3 kids. So yes, like right now I'm using the laptop of my husband because my own laptop is being used by the child. But जहाँ पे online platform पे consistent रूप से लंबे time तक you have to there have to be resources like computer. So I see like my maid or I see the other people, they report that their children are not able to because it's very difficult from a mobile to sustain interest. So there have been disruptions in terms of education. Similarly, poverty, loss of employment, and that there have been the traffickers have also been at work. Just the other day we found there was a discussion where they said that even when the first wave of COVID had started, we had there were buses of people. I mean, there was lockdown. So there were also buses of children that were intercepted, maybe 18 years old, 19 years old, just at the border of childhood and adulthood. where they said that they were going out of their own will to work in certain places, and it was very difficult because they said it was their own will, and when they were going out of their own violation, it was very difficult to say that it was a case of trafficking. So those are issues that are also there when we look at law enforcement agencies dealing with issues such as this. So when we talk about pandemic and the impact of trafficking, one has to remember that the number of cases have really increased in this period. Okay, now that I've just started, I think, I realize that since I have figures, I will just send this PPT also. Just give me one moment so I can share it. Do I have your number, Manoj? Okay, just 1 second. I just hate to waste time, but I will. Okay, I'll just go ahead. When one talks about,
You can just share with me.
I text you on WhatsApp.
yeah, see, I have. If you just give me your, I can share the PPT right now with you. If you have, if you just give me your email.
Ma'am, I'll just type it here.
Manoj
Yeah,
Kumar 07.
Just give me 1 second. Yeah, 07.
GUPTA Gupta @gmail.com.
No, Manoj
Manoj
Kumar 07.
Gupta
Okay, I wrote Manoj
@gmail.
Kumar. Manoj Gupta.
Manoj Kumar 07 Gupta
Oh my lord, I'm sorry. Manoj Kumar 07 Gupta. Yeah.
@gmail.com.
Usually I don't get into this mess, but I don't know how this has happened. I'm just sending you. Okay. All right, I've sent. So if one looks at the comparative statement of crimes against women, I just took this out for Madhya Pradesh for the first 5 months. So one sees that the cases of human trafficking have also increased. So while in 2019 we had 18 cases from January to May, in 2020 we've had around 12 such cases, and in 21 we've had 29 such cases. So that shows that there's an increase in the cases. But there is another issue that I want to, yes, we can say that there is an increase, but the issue I also want to emphasize that if we register more cases, like when I talked about asking the right questions as far as crime against women is concerned, I also wanted to raise the issue that if more cases, we find that the number of cases they've registered, should that be something alarming or not? So first, I would like to say that in Madhya Pradesh, the reasons that the cases increased from the period of January to May, the reason was not merely that you had an increase in the trafficking cases, but also because there was some kind of a proactive action taken by police. So if we kind of look at it, that in January, we had something called Operation Muskan. Operation Muskan meant that we went around that the missing girl cases or the missing children cases that had been there, there was a state-led campaign to recover the maximum number of children. And in just 1 month, we recovered around 2,444 girls. And because of that, when a few girls came back, they reported they had been trafficked in the first place. So while yes, there have been an increase or there is an incidence of increase as far as trafficking cases are concerned during the pandemic, one has also to realize that if the police registers more cases, it's something like a doctor is able to diagnose that yes, there is an,
Sorry, ma'am.
yeah.
PPT is visible now.
You can you share the PPT?
Okay. Please tell me how next.
Second slide, right? So I'll just, is it there? Yeah, thank you so much. So here, the figures that I was talking about in human trafficking, we have unlike last 2 years, we have an increase and we have 29 cases of trafficking. So one of the reasons is also because there was proactive agency as far as we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So because like I said, there was Operation Muskan, there was proactive action by the police, and now that we have taken up the cases, now similarly, जैसे कि डॉक्टर देखता है कि हमने is able to diagnose cases of ailment. So similarly, one feels that if more cases are registered, that also means that we're looking into issues and it will be taken up proactively. A lot of times what happens is that trafficking cases one has to remember the nature of the crime, that it is a case of organized crime. तो अगर जहाँ पे organized crime रहता है तो it is the investigation is very involved. So unless and until a case is registered and painstakingly all the people who are involved in the cases, चाहे आपके traffickers हो, those who are financiers, जब तक अच्छी तरीके से सबके against case नहीं बनता, तब तक के one cannot say that proper action has been taken. And in these cases, the thing is that if more cases are registered, yes, it may be a case of alarm to know that yes, is there a greater case of trafficking. But what is also important is to know that much more effort is being put in. Can we just go to the next slide? Okay. Manoj, could we go to the next slide? I'm sorry. Okay. So, as far as the asking the right questions is concerned, is that traffickers. We launched a statewide campaign rather this January, and the, one or two of the important issues were that we discussed that there would be three major issues that we would take up. सबसे पहले ये था कि we have to understand that the safety of women is not the is not just the responsibility of that girl. जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि उसने सही कपड़े पहने, कि वो सही टाइम पे गई. But the more important question is to understand that it is a society that is responsible for ensuring the safety of women. So that is one important issue. The second more important issue is that the perpetrator of crime has to be recognized as the perpetrator of crime. बहुत बार जो होता है हम लोग जो issues हमारे consent के रहते हैं or the issues that we deal with in terms of what do you call the role of जैसे कि I will talk about the case of rape. Those again questions that I've taken up, that a lot of times it is thought that it is the rape happens because of the confrontation between what do you call a permissive girl and a person, a man who has been tempted. So it's more like a hydraulics theory that a man could not actually contain himself because the girl was very provocative. So इसलिए it is important to actually challenge these assumptions and the myths that are there. तो और बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि we kind of even in our judgments we give a lot of leeway, that is court judgments and the trial, we give a lot of leeway to the perpetrator of crime and we do not pin him down the way we should. तो इसीलिए हम लोग का जो अभियान था वी लॉन्च सम्मान, उसमें ये भी था टू रिकॉग्नाइज द परपेट्रेटर ऑफ क्राइम एज द परपेट्रेटर. तो हम लोग इसीलिए जो इवन इन आवर केसेस व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू डू इज दैट इफ an auto rickshaw driver, he was the one who was responsible for the crime, we tried to ensure that his license, if he was plying a commercial vehicle, his license was cancelled. If the person was maybe an attendant in the hospital, then it was that his license was cancelled. So our steps were more related towards identifying the perpetrator of crime as the real person. So we tried to even call out the perpetrator. So first issue was that of society is responsible, perpetrator of crime, and also that making the girls aware. So jab asking the right questions are concerned, so when we talk about trafficking of crime, a lot of times we deal, just say I will talk about a particular case like we had in Shahdol. So where the girl yeah, like you said, bad society and bad education is responsible for crime. So similarly, when we talk about, I will give an example of Sherdol, where there was this person who had been responsible for 3 successive cases of trafficking. And it is not that he was a very rich man or he would look like a criminal. He himself had married, he was a tribal himself. He himself had married a girl from a certain community, and that girl would go around in her own community, keep asking girls, vulnerable girls, जैसे कि जो लड़कियां उनके माँ बाप नहीं है, people who are poor, and then kind of tempt them, or who had issues, maybe step parents, and kind of tempt them that, you know, we can get you married and we can take you to good places. And there was a network of them, people who would kind of say this, and they would what you call take money from the person, the middlemen and the people to whom the girls were given. So when we talk about criminals, we how do the perpetrators look? So it's very perpetrators here will not look like somebody from outside. They may look like chacha, they may look like chachi, they may look like close relatives, they may look like people from our own community, they may look like well-wishers. So the person, because the temptation that is also given to a vulnerable person is related to that. So then we also see that in a large number of cases, it is that our own people are not willing to recognize the crime for what it is. They would say, "वो तो like the girl was kind of she belonged, at least she got married in this manner, or maybe the children got employed in a certain way." So they do not. It is very difficult to convince people that a case of for a case of trafficking to be what it is, because people will think that some kind of advantage is meted out to the girl also. And maybe a little bit of it is confused also, because in Sherdol, when we recovered around 21 girls, around 7 8 of those girls, they said they were happily married where they were, and they did not want to actually report, or maybe some of them had also children, and they said that they did not want to go back. While if we look at how the crime had been carried out, all the elements of trafficking were there, about buying, selling, about exploitation, all the aspects were there. So that also kind of makes you wonder that somehow some changes have to be made made in our society, where the vulnerability of women has to be addressed. Because if they're forever vulnerable, then if they don't have any other options, if they don't have opportunities, if they don't have educational the capital for education, there are, yeah, I see that a hand has been raised. So would you like me to answer this question? This is Dr. Amarjeet Singh Parihar. Should I answer the question right now? I think I need to hear the question to be able to answer it.
Please proceed, ma'am. After that.
Okay. All right. So, and obviously there have been cases where we have seen that even internet is promoting these kind of crimes, because girls and children who were earlier not accessible, they are people, the culprits are getting access to those girls also. There are larger number of younger girls who are now available on like because of social media platforms. So we have young girls, like I always quote a case of a little girl from a 13-year-old girl from Mandsaur, who traveled that's a very small place, not, I will not say a very small place, but a relatively smaller place in Madhya Pradesh. From there, the girl traveled to Indore and to Bhopal, and just because she had a friend on Instagram and Snapchat, and that other person on the other end was in Haryana, and he had just asked her to come, and the only way we were able to intercept her was also because she got in touch with a auto driver, and she asked her that to arrange for, she said, "Mera ye nath jo hai, just sell my what do you call, little ornament and get me the ticket to go to Haryana. So he realized that something was fishy and he reported to the police. And like I just saw a comment right now that yes, it is related to trafficking. So but even when we talk about it to drugs, yes, like I will give examples. Like I was posted in a place called Rajgarh, and all along the national highway we had cases of these girls, like caste-based prostitution. These girls in line hotel, or what one calls dhabas, and because the truck drivers used to go from there, so lots of these girls on dhabas were provided for prostitution or for trafficking. And we realized that a lot of girls also remained in this profession because of their drug dependence, because the dhaba owner ensured that they were drug dependent. So when we talk about trafficking, one has to also understand that the perpetrator of crime may not look like somebody from outside the community, may look from somebody like a well-wisher or from inside the community. So that's an aspect to be looked into. We can go to the next slide. Just to so this was part of our campaign where we this little girl Goody, a 16-year-old, was created, and because we wanted to reach out to the girls. We are, even when we see trafficking, we see that in terms of victims of crime, it is all a large number of 16 to 18-year-old girls who are involved, who are targeted. So here we tried to portray that there was this chacha and chachi, like we said, Lomdi chachi and Bhediya uncle. So where this one says that प्यारी गुड्डी मेरे साथ शहर चल अच्छी नौकरी दिलाऊंगा. So he's tempting her with temptations of a job, and this girl whom we tried to in community portray as a girl who is vigilant about her rights would say that मैं तेरे जाल में फंसने वाली नहीं, or that we are not going to be caught. Similarly, Manoj, we can do the next slide. Where we just changed the role. So instead of the Bhediya uncle in the front, we had this Lomdi chachi who says that मेरे साथ चल मैं अच्छी जगह शादी कराऊंगी. So while in the first one there was temptation of marriage of employment, in the second one we tried to do it as employment in terms of marriage. And here again she says the same thing. We can go to the next slide. So again, like when I say that asking right questions in crimes against women, one of the important thing is to understand that whose responsibility is it to ensure safety of women. Is it of that particular girl herself? Is it about her family, or is it about the society as a whole? So in crime against women, as in trafficking, we have to realize that the entire society has to feel that it is our responsibility. Whether we take up issues of street harassment, we take off rape. And why this question is important is because it's basically 2013 has been a watershed where maybe after or during Nirbhay, people did not ask as to what the girl was doing, where she was going, what was the time she was going at. So, and like I say, here I can see abusive relationships do matter. Yes, abusive because it can be abusive relationships can be the reason for maybe the reason why girls may leave families. I can again give the example of when I'm very new to the job. We had these two girls who were who had run away. Again, they were around 11 to 12 to 13 years old, and because they were the parents were stepped, they were neglected children, they were vulnerable. So there was this old man who had kind of been influential in attracting them and taking them away from their families and getting them to a totally different state, and using them that time for entertainment in marriages. So it started as them dancing in marriages, but then it went on to sexual exploitation by that man and by a lot of others. And these were very little girls. Similarly, I guess the fact that we have caste-based prostitution also makes for it, where it is considered to be a done thing. The kind of a social structure that we have is also an issue where maybe maybe the brother, maybe the husband, maybe the caste panchayat, all of them have a role in actually ensuring a certain normative, and where they also benefit from the girl getting into the job or even being trafficked. So obviously, when it's little girls, there is no issue of consent in our country till the age of 18. It does not matter as to whether you consented to a relationship or you didn't. It is rape. It is considered to be rape. So one important thing is that what do you call that? It is the responsibility of women. It is the responsibility of the entire society. Like the very recent Tarun Tejpal judgment, also, we'll see that it was almost a trial for the victim herself. The kind of questions, what the kind of cross questioning she has been put to, the kind of issues that have been raised. So one has to realize that we have to actually question our own myths, our own givens, or what we understand, and that is why there is a great degree of requirement for empathy. Okay, I think I'm running out of time. Okay, so it would, and is prostitution a choice? What I want to emphasize in this session is that maybe I will not have all the answers myself. But when it comes to crime against women, because we are living in a patriarchal society, we have a certain way of looking at things. We need to have a lot of questions and maybe engage with issues continuously. That is what I wanted to emphasize on, that whether it be trafficking or whether it be crime against women. So obviously, when we talk about responsibilities, it's the responsibility of society. When we talk about prostitution, the question of whether it is choice, one has to really see it in terms of poverty, who are vulnerable, like you said, abusive relationship, and then kind of also what are the issues of survival sex. So there are issues that we have to deal with, and we cannot come to a very, very straight-jacketed solution that yes, the girl willed it. Like I have a friend who told me that once he was talking to a girl, and that girl said, no, 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 I have come here for economic mobility and this will give me more money. So there may be issues that may be there at that particular point. You may feel that that the person has no other choice, or this is the way to get into the system. But there are questions that have to be raised about this also. A lot of times, the discussion is made that prostitution is the oldest profession, so it will always continue. Again, those are issues that need to be challenged, questioned, understood. Then, what about consent in crimes against women? So the issue is that a lot of times it is thought that it is like passive consent, that unless and until the girl did not scream, shout, howl, that the girl would have had some kind of a passive consent. So again, like what one says, that there should be a trauma-led jurisprudence. There have been studies in Sweden which have showed, or studies all across, which show that that even if you're, let's say that if a person is kind of mugged, or if there are 5 robbers that come in front of you, is it in every situation that a person screams, howls? You know that your safety may also be dependent on negotiating that relationship in a different variety of ways. So, and studies all across have shown that it is not the reaction of women is not always to scream and howl and run away, but also they say freeze. So these are established studies which show that they kind of freeze. They are they're not able to think what do you call very objectively at that point of time. So that also, these also issues are that have to be looked into. Peddling prostitution or trafficking as a glamorous life of romance, silk stockings, and money also needs to be looked into. One has to see that it is the pimps who are in control. whether it is through drug dependence, taking away their documents, beatings, or taking away their earnings. Then a very important issue that happens, or which I have seen that even in our community, that I mean in our what do you call, we deal with criminal justice. So a lot of times what happens is that people think that there are some good rapes and there are some bad rapes. Good rapes are those in which maybe the perpetrator is unknown. It happens in a very public setting where what do you call, the girl had nothing to do with the perpetrator of crime. And while it comes to people where acquaintance rapes, people's degree of empathy with the girl actually goes down, because they feel that she must have done something to actually invite that thing on her. First, they think that if she knew, she could have negotiated her way out of it. Third, they feel that no woman can actually be raped against her will. So you hear all kind of stories, and especially we see that even dealing with those prejudices within our criminal justice community, where they will say that marriage, when a person, जैसे शादी का झांसा देकर, that tempting a person and saying that we will marry you, or continuing a relationship, is actually not considered to be a real case of rape. Like, we'll have people saying that, and even NCRB figures say that 94% of the girls who are raped, they know the rapist. It's only in 6% of the cases that the rapist will not be known. So somehow we live in that kind of a cocoon that we couldn't have prevented this. But it is very important to understand that we can prevent it once we come down very heavily on the perpetrator. We do not look for any kind of concession for the perpetrator by saying that the girl invited it on her, and to understand the crime for what it is, that it is a crime no matter what. It is, there are no good rapes, there are no bad rapes. Rape is without consent, and the girl's consent was not there. So I think we have to be because a lot of time I hear people say that this should be treated as a case of cheating than otherwise. Then similarly, it is that is ripe a crime of passion, or it's just violence. It should be known as a crime of violence and nothing less than that. And very related to that is, can rapes be prevented? So, and our reaction to these crimes is very important. Like I said, to be very categorical, and the reason why I'm taking up rape is because it's those kind of myths are being more talked about. But this is to do with all crimes against women, whether it be trafficking, whether it be street harassment. Even when we think harassment, a lot of times people will say कि लड़की कैसे पटेगी अगर क्या कहते हैं. So our concept of a hero, our concept of that that you get onto the streets and you get into a cat calling is the way you kind of get attention of a woman. I guess all those aspects need to be challenged. Could we go in for the next few slides? Because I know I've run out of time also. So similarly, that is the one thing that I wanted to emphasize on, that when it came to crime, like I said, that we launched a campaign because we asked ourselves all these questions. And we said that, like I said, to call out a crime for what it is, that it is a crime. So, like we said, that all these instances that one sees, whether of catcalling, what I guess every girl, what every woman of whatever age experiences when she's on the street, whether it is somebody nudging her, whether somebody may be pulling the dupatta, or caught catcalling or whistling. So we went in for the campaign where we said that ye aparadh hai. We just wanted to be very sure and very categorical कि ये this is nothing but a crime. And then we also, if one sees that नीचे में we have written that this crime is what you call is punishable by 3 years, because we wanted to also emphasize that you can't just do it and get away with it. So this was an important aspect. Manoj, next slide. I'm sorry. Similarly, these are the same things that we wanted to emphasize. In the second one here, we just wanted to show that, like we said, it is the responsibility of the society. So here we wanted to give in the message that the conductor is playing an important role. And that is why when we had our campaign, we also kind of had training sessions for bus drivers, guards, shopkeepers, to tell them that they should actually, when they see it in front of them, they should not just feel uncomfortable and do nothing about it, but to raise their voice in it. Can we have the next? It's just towards the end. Similarly, things that are not, these are new sections of law that were added after 2013 of voyeurism, and these also to explain it to the society at large that watching a girl in her private acts is also a crime. Can we have the next one? Okay, next one. I'll just end it very fast. And this is to emphasize the idea of anybody in the community can be the asli hero or play an important role. Like here in the first one, it is a friend who's telling the other friends that what they're doing is wrong. So to emphasize that whether it's an old man, an old woman, or a friend, the people have to step up, and this is a part of what it's called the bystander intervention. That if you see it happening in front of you, you do not stay a mute spectator, but you raise your voice. Can I have the last? I think now we'll have the okay. This is again that not to stay a silent spectator, to say. I think we can go ahead. I'll just go to the last slide. We can leave this. We can go ahead. Okay, so the lessons to be learned is that by asking the right questions in crime against women, we can have greater empathy for the victim. We need to have a trauma-based jurisprudence. That is that all the criminal, or the society, yes, but also the police, the courts, the advocates have to know what trauma-based jurisprudence is. That is that the reaction of the girl to a crime will not always be to scream, but also there may be issues of freezing. There may be not only related to empathy, but to know that there are researches which show that reactions to a crime are different. Yeah, similarly, categorical denunciation of a criminal, and to go in for bystander intervention. I guess that is the amount of time I had. I've also overshot, and I'm sorry about not being able to share slides. Sorry, that's it. Thank you.
No issue, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, for your very informative presentation, focusing on asking the right question in crime against women. And you have shared many cases and practical aspects of the problem. And very rightly said that it is a joint responsibility of law enforcement agencies, academicians, and academic institutions, NGOs, and various civil society organizations working for the issue. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very insightful presentation. Now, I would like to invite and introduce our next speaker, Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan. Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan is PhD, AMPhil, MA, BA in English. She has over 25 years of experience, out of which 21 years as academic associate with SUSS. Her topic of PhD was Afro-American Feminist Theatre, and she has been teaching translation courses, English, Tamil English for upper secondary and junior college students at UPLTC Singapore. She has done more than 450 Tamil talk shows called Patti Mandram. She has been a judge for many numbers of multinational Patti Mandram. She is the founder and managing director of Masters Academy of Speech and Training, MAST Singapore. She is teaching mono acting and related courses to students as part of enrichment program. She has been conducting bilingual speech programs for primary, secondary students, and also coaching them for paper presentation skills in webinar. She has produced YouTube video series to contribute towards the promotion of ancient Tamil literature and the request of an established literary organization from India. She has been contributing for teaches for a local channel in Singapore. She is doing Telugu language interpretation in state courts and family courts Singapore. she is doing English to Tamil translation for Ministry of Manpower. I invite Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan ma'am for her address. Please.
Thank you, Madam Jaya Fukan. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we are able to hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Can
Yes,
I have screen sharing permissions? I need to share my screen.
So it's asking for the permission, ma'am. Is it asking for permission, ma'am?
Yeah, I have my PowerPoint slide which I need to share.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. I think you can just open it on the desktop. Then you have a share option in the platform. You can just share it, ma'am.
I can't see it. I have opened it. Let me see. I have opened it.
Come to the come to the Google Meet platform, ma'am.
Yeah, the Google Meet platform I am.
There you can have an option called a share present now.
Yeah, present now. I went there.
Yes, ma'am.
My entire screen. Okay.
You will have to open your PPT on your desktop, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Are you able to see now?
Not yet, ma'am. Ma'am, first you need to go to your desktop, then open your PPT, then come to the Meet platform, then go to the present now option. You will have two options, ma'am, there.
Okay, sorry.
The desktop and the other, you have to give a click over there.
No, I have actually gone to my desktop. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Now give the, in the Google platform, go to the present now option, ma'am.
Okay.
What can you see there, ma'am?
I can see only your entire screen, a window, a tab.
Your window.
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I've been using Zoom more often than this. I'm a little bit confused.
yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see now?
Yes, it's
ma'am.
coming.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan from Singapore, and I'm an academic associate with the English department for quite some time, and I'm with the Singapore University of Social Sciences. And apart from being an academic, I've been involved in various other activities, mainly because of my research interest in students, and I've been training them up on the Masters Academy of Speech and Training for bilingual programs in Tamil as well as English. Well, and today's topic, cybercrime and its impact on Singapore youth, is my pet peeve. I especially chose the word Singapore youth because I deal more with the students on a daily basis. And I also feel that this Singapore basically has a clean image, and Singapore is by and large a law-abiding society, and also the law functions in Singapore in the strictest possible manner. Despite that, this cybercrime and its impact persists in Singapore. That's why I'm intrigued and I've taken up this topic. Basically, the COVID-19 has taken its toll on physical and mental health of people. Of course, around the world, the same has been happening. But in Singapore, the phishing attacks and ransomware attacks on hospitals and medical facilities banged on the public fear over the uncertainty caused by the advent of coronavirus. Actually, compared to 2018, local observations of website defacements, phishing, ransomware, and command and control servers and botnet drones all rose in 2019. The purpose of my presentation is to explore the different kinds of cyber attacks and focus on its impact on youth. A further attempt has been made to focus on the impact felt by women as well. Of course, in Singapore, there's an organization called the SG Cyber Women, which is an initiative by the CSA, the Computer Security Agency, the rationale behind the SG Cyber Women is to encourage more participation of women at a professional level in cyber security. Having said this, I just want us to be aware of the kind of cyber attacks we face. And please believe me, until a few years ago, being an English academic, I believed that words like phishing, website spoofing, ransomware, malware, IoT hacking, I thought all these belong to the world of the computer engineers, all these belong to the world of IT industry. And in fact, I thought that I've got nothing to do with that. I was even not willing to read about them several years ago. But then, when I start moving more and more along with the students, I found very rude shocks. Many an hacking attempt has been made into our educational website and so on and so forth, which gave a warning bell to me as a result, this paper. Cyber attacks come in the form of phishing, website spoofing, ransomware, malware, IoT hacking. Of course, all these sound right now Greek and Latin to many people who are not in that field. Actually, phishing is nothing but it's an online scam where criminals impersonate legitimate organization via email, text message, advertisement, or other means in order to steal sensitive information. Say, for example, suddenly you receive an email from Bharatidasan University, or you receive an email from B.R. Ambedkar University telling that you are appointed as the Vice Chancellor of that university, immediately a warning bell should go in your mind. Well, someone else is impersonating the legitimate organization called this university, and then that person is trying to pull you in. What is his point of sending you an email, or his or her point of view of sending an email inviting you to be the VC of a university? We should think. It is simply to hack into your laptop. It's simply to hack into your program, to get more information from you. Information is like gold for them. 1 in 5 phishing scams targets Facebook. Nowadays, everybody uses a Facebook. From 5-year-old up to 98 or 99-year-old, we use Facebook. Social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they are targets when it comes to attack on youth. Of course, they target people in other age groups also, but I'm confining myself to the youth. Banks are attacked, forcing financial loss on the banks. Even very young people have bank accounts in Singapore. As a result, it's like severe impact on various people. So what do you think? What can the youth do? See, I just don't believe in talking about a problem. Is there a solution for that? Or is there anything else we can do to be alert, to be more aware of what is possible? Well, simple, very simple thumb rule. You can tell your children, you can tell your primary school kids, you can tell your secondary school kids, you can talk to your junior college kids, your university children, if ever they choose to listen to you. Maybe you should order a pizza, give it to them, and then during that time you should keep talking to them for a few minutes, asking them to remove their headphone actually. So, the kids, actually youth, are more impulsive. That we should remember. We cannot think that they are criminals. These more impulsive youth, actually, we should warn them. They should be aware. Now everybody is cyber savvy, but they do not know these things are happening. What should they be aware? They should not click any link at random. There are links called lottery winning scam links. Do not ever click on that. Whether it is you, me, or your children or your grandchildren, don't let them click on that. Then, links inviting them to use free samples. You see, our problem is not necessarily Indian society, Singapore society or Malaysian society or Western society. Someone says, click on this link, you will get a free soap, free shampoo, free booklet, you will get a free washing paste, or you will get a free scrubber. Anything with the word free, every single person is attracted to that. Nothing comes free in the cyberspace. Please remember that. Do not click on them. And then the lottery winning scam has various stages, so be aware of it. Then direct emails inviting us to participate in contest or activity suddenly says, "Oh my God, you have been chosen as one of the 100 people from the entire universe. Click on this. You may be the next Miss World, Mr. World, Baby World, Granny World, anything." And all of us are highly egoistic. We are narcissistic. So let's not become victims to this. And the links that lure us to pay for products that are unbelievably cheap. Please trust me. Anything that looks unbelievably cheap. Sometime back, somebody in Singapore advertised a Samsung Android latest mobile phone was advertised as 2 Singapore dollars. 2 Singapore dollars. Even a broken mobile phone chip will not be sold as at 2 Singapore dollars, right? So same thing. Someone says for 100 rupees you will get an iPhone Apple latest model, and it is possible for us to give it to you because if 100,000 of you click this, so our lottery scheme will select one person at random. So you think that you will have the luck, one among the 1 lakh people. And what do? We click on that and then we start praying. And we literally badger on Lord Ganesh to make sure that we get that. But whereas basically we have made the mistake. And don't use the free samples and forget about whatever else they are asking us to do. And then there are links asking for passwords and login details. This should be a definite no-no. Direct in the emails inviting you to participate in an activity, in fact. And the most important thing, we must tell our kids, whether they are girls, boys, or the third gender, still it doesn't matter. We have to tell this. The children, adolescents, whatever age, they should not stand before the device's camera and send compromising pictures that could be used against them. Please, believe me, this has happened plenty in Singapore. And then all of us should be aware of sexual crimes that are committed through internet. You see, the problem of bearing before the device of camera device in the laptop is a very serious issue. Our children do not realize, our adolescents do not realize, college-going girls or even boys do not realize. Please believe me when I say that. They simply say, you just bear your top for girls or boys. Then, can you just show this part of your body? Can you do this? And the child thinks nothing about it. The daughter or son thinks nothing about it. They don't even understand that something called morphing can also happen. And even the parts you have not shown there is going to appear there in the internet nude photo. And then we have to be more cautious. I already told you that scams that target teenagers, then fraudsters hoodwink youngsters into providing personal information which can be used for identity theft. This identity theft has not only happened in Singapore. As I dug more deep into this, it has happened in India, it has happened in Malaysia, it has happened rampantly in Western countries as well. Identity theft is nothing but, if I am Dr. Rajesh Srinivasan, suddenly someone poses as Rajesh Srinivasan with either my own photograph or their photograph on the internet, and suddenly they say that they are 21-year-old female, and then they start luring men. Or they post that they are 25-year-old male, and then they start luring all the unsuspecting female online. So when they do this, slowly they can take your money, they can take everything. What happens? Finally, that weird doctor, newly created Rajesh Srinivasan, who has impersonated me, will land me in troubles with people who actually know me for who I am. This is the issue. Then scams that are carried through dubious advertisements, online auctions, promising luxury goods for amazingly cheap prices. these goods, please believe me, they range from expensive looking handbags, designer shoes, watches, mobile phones, gym equipment, etc. You see, I was almost a scam for this victim for the scam once. Luckily, my daughter, who was more cyber savvy, prevented me from doing it. Long time back, once I saw an advertisement for a treadmill, motorized treadmill with an IB brand, standard brand. Usually in the market, it sells for a couple of thousands or even more. And then this fellow has advertised it for $50, $50, and also with a label, it's a brand new treadmill for $50. I didn't even know much about it. Then I was about to think, after all, $50, what's going to happen? Then he said, payment is accepted only by something like PayPal or something like that. I was about to click when my daughter pushed me behind and said, are you so stupid to fall a victim to this? Already my friends have become a victim for this. That was an alarm bell, so which I'm sharing with you all. Then fraudulent announcements of contests, scholarships, and grants, unsolicited university admission offers. Suddenly imagine someone imagine you had applied for various universities in India, and suddenly you have also applied for JNU. You have also applied for a joint scholarship with IIT. Imagine suddenly IIT Madras sends you an email. Congratulations, you are given an admission in the PhD cohort of this particular year, and you just have to pay a deposit of 2000 Indian rupees. What is 2000 Indian rupees if you have an IIT admission into PhD with a grant? So, without a second thought, if you click on that link, you are doomed. This is what I say as fraudulent online admission offer. Then the so-called free mobile phone services that actually trigger a high in your cost actually. Of course, I've covered enough for phishing. Then move on to website spoofing. Website spoofing is the creation of a replica of a trusted site with the intention of misleading visitors to a phishing site. And of course, legitimate logos, fonts, colors, and functionality are used to make legitimate logos, fonts, colors, and functionality are used to make the spoof site look realistic. Then, of course, domain spoofing, email spoofing, URL spoofing, etc. are more intricate ways of spoofing that affect you. Okay, in a very simple kiddish language, if I have to say what's called website spoofing, copycat, that's all. Copycatting your website, copycatting your logo. Suddenly, with your university logo, some Tom, Dick, and Harry from some other hamlet in an Indian village, a very tiny hamlet, he sends you a legitimate letter of appreciation with the logo, with your own font, with your own color and functionality, everything. Naturally, we'll be hoodwinked. We have to be aware of it. And next one is, of course, a ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malicious software. It's called also malware that threatens to publish or blocks access to data or a computer system, usually by encrypting it until the victim pays a ransom fee to the attacker. The main objective of this malware attack is to extort money from its victims. It's one of the most fruitful criminal business models in existence today, where the criminals benefit in millions of dollars as ransoms received from individuals and big corporations around the world. Singapore has also not been spared by this attack, and even small businesses have been attacked by this. Again, to put it in a layperson's language, blackmail, that's all. It's ransomware. Blackmail software. Suddenly, you are, see, for example, you have a company, you have about 6,000 employees, you have about 60,000 financial records. One fine morning, you try to open your website. You are the company MD with all the passwords, etc., but you are unable to open your website. Everybody in your company tries. No, cannot. All other kind of softwares that are controlling your entire business model is there. You cannot do anything. You wonder what happened. You call various people, tech support. Nothing works. And then suddenly you receive this threat. Look, you pay up $1 million by today evening, your system will start working again. Believe me, there are companies in the US, luckily not in Singapore, in the US, unfortunately for them, where they had to pay $4 billion as ransom for a multinational company for it to be allowed to function again. So this is something very sad, because of which every single company is spending, if not millions, at least thousands, into protecting their system by various virus softwares and all these things. Give me a moment, please, before I proceed to the next one. Okay, malware and IoT. Botnet drone, it's not a flying device, please believe me. It's a computer malware that first infects and compromises the target computer and then connects the target computer into botnet network. The botnet drones are mainly used to target IoT. You must have heard the word IoT. Of course, like me, you might have think that you need an MTech in computer engineering to understand what is that, if you are a lay academic person like me from the humanities. Well, IoT is nothing but Internet of Things devices. IoT devices such as smart mobiles, smart refrigerators, smart watches, even smart washing machines and dishwashers are there. Smart fire alarms, smart door lock, smart baby lock, which I've forgotten here, smart bicycle appliances, machines, medical sensors, fitness trackers, smart security system. Basically, everything smart other than our own self. That is the problem. All these smart devices are not built with serious security in mind. It makes it harder to apply even security patches when necessary. Unfortunately, they do transmit data through internet, considering the purpose of these devices. And summing up, cybercrime is involving the youth. And before that, before my summing up, I just wanted to present another slide. It's the women issues and romance scams. It does sound romantic when you read the word romance scams. Basically, nothing romantic about the scam. Young women who have faced issues like online stalking and revenge pornography, illicit filming, unsolicited distribution of nude photos and upskirting, there are surreptitious filming or taking of photographs under girls' and women's clothes are on the rise. For example, in Singapore, every mall has escalators, say about, if the mall is about a 10-story building, the escalators at least go up to 6 stories. So, the ladies generally wear a half skirt for their office, and these guys who come behind the ladies in the escalators, they use their mobile phone camera. They just keep showing the camera underneath the skirt. This is the kind of a weird mental sickness, believe me. Okay, but this is happening. This is called upskirting, and underneath the girls' skirts, taking a photograph. And luckily in Singapore, actually sometime back, Madam IG was talking about victim blaming in Indian society. Luckily in Singapore, victim blaming is not, it is not an encouraged norm in Singapore, which is a relief for these youngsters who are affected. Still, the mental trauma, the stigma in their own circles, and their personal sense of discomfort due to indecent exposures have to be addressed. In Singapore Parliament in May 2019, it has passed a new law targeting on sexual abuse, including voyeurism, upskirting, unsolicited intimate images, or cyber flashing, with maximum jail sentences ranging from 2 to 5 years. You will be surprised that before May 2019, there were no laws in Singapore in punishing cyber sexual crimes. It was a surprise even to me, because until then there was not much awareness as to how to punish a cyber crime like this. For example, recently in Singapore University a couple of years back, a guy put a mobile phone camera inside a student hostel bathroom. When she was bathing, he has filmed her, and then he has shared it in WhatsApp chat groups and somewhere in internet. And the girl, Monica Bay, caught all of that, and finally he was reported. and to the shocked disbelief of many of the Singaporeans, he was given a strict warning by the police. That's all, a strict warning. And then a 1 semester suspension from the university, against which this girl protested. And then after this parliamentary law in May 2019 was passed for doing all this. So with this, I conclude, cybercrime is enveloping the youth as an all-encompassing evil, and that is detected by the victims only when it is too late, unfortunately. And please believe me, cybercrime has no boundaries, not even geographical boundaries. Even if your house has the most cultural and traditional setup, still believe me, it's possible to have this unless someone sitting before a device is willing to be fully aware and cautious of their each step in the cyberspace. It's an uphill challenge, even to the most vigilant police force. Complete re education of not only the youth, but also the already vigilant police force on the nuances of the cyberspace and its pitfalls could be the only possible solution to this ever growing problem. Exchange of cybercrime information among all the countries in the entire globe and a close watch over that space by a specially devoted team is the only way to create at least some barriers for these criminals. Thank you very much for letting me be part of this program today. And I am Dr. Rajesh Srinivasan, not only representing Singapore Social University of Social Sciences University of Singapore, also representing Masters Academy of Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am,
Thank you
for
so
your
much,
very
ma'am.
insightful presentation. And very rightly said, ma'am, that cybercrime is a very serious issue, and awareness on this issue on the part of children and especially women is required. So thank you so much. Now, I request Kamlavini ma'am to.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am. Manoj sir, our VC sir is waiting. Please admit, tell the technical staff to admit them, sir.
Okay, ma'am, will be said to our technical team. Just a minute.
Yes, sir. Jaya ma'am, I think next you can invite Zanita ma'am to introduce our Vice Chancellor.
Okay, ma'am.
He'll be here shortly, ma'am. One minute, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Rajeshwari
Now
ma'am,
I request.
Yes.
Now I
Rajeshwari
request
ma'am,
Sunita
one second,
Rosary.
ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. Rajeshwari ma'am, I think you will stay back with us till the webinar is over, ma'am. So
I'll stay back till Dr. Kamalaveni finishes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So once our Vice Chancellor finishes his session, we'll have a Q&A session with you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jaya ma'am, please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Now I invite Dr. Senator Rosaline ma'am, Head of the Department of Women Studies, Bhartiya University, to introduce the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. P. Kaliraj of Bhartiya University, Coimbatore. Ma'am, please do the honors.
A very warm and pleasant good morning to all of you. Yes.
Just wait, ma'am. VC sir has not, he is not admitted still in. Technical staffs have to permit them to admit. He is waiting outside.
That's fine. I'll just talk to other dignitaries. When you give me clearance, I will start the introduction.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it's been a very pleasant morning. I thank Dr. Asha Shukla Madam, Vice Chancellor of Ambedkar University, for coordinating with us. And I definitely welcome and thank the speakers of our first is Professor Dr. Susan Shaw from Oregon State University, then Deepika Madam, and definitely Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan Madam for all your wonderful sharing. It has been a real eye-opener on the current trends which has alarmingly increased on the cyber crime with respect to women during the pandemic period because we are all online. This awareness is so very necessary for all of us. And through us, I think we should create the awareness to all the societal members or academic fraternity with whom we can interact. We should spread this information. So each of us bear that
Sir is in,
responsibility of
ma'am.
sharing information. Yeah,
Yes,
yes?
sir is
Okay,
in, ma'am. Yes.
fine. Okay, so can I start?
Good morning, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very warm and pleasant good morning to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Professor P. Kaliraj of Bharatiya University. Good morning, sir. I take the initiative to introduce our Honorable Vice Chancellor to this August gathering. Professor Dr. P. Kaliraj was born at a very simple downtown village called at Kanni Seripudur of Ramnad near Virudunagar. Sir had a very simple life, but his school was very many kilometers from his hometown. But he did take the effort to go there and study, and he was a school topper. He did very good in education, and his parents have supported him in taking up his educative skills. With their support, Sir has completed his UG in chemistry from Sivakasi, and then Sir has again been a topper, so his parents helped him further to complete his PG in biochemistry from the University of Madras. And Sir has contributed very much in the arena of biotechnology and to medicine. And Sir has given lots of contribution to the biotechnological industry. Sir has done very strong research in these areas. And it is after all these contributions, Sir has been blessed with us as the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bharatiya University. Sir has been such a big pillar of strength to all of us. Sir has guided us in moving our university to higher levels in the academic fraternities and in research areas, in university ranking levels. Sir has guided us as to how the journal publications and research work, hardcore research has to be undertaken. It has been a good drive for us. Sir has appreciated our work. That is one thing in all our years. Sir has taken the initiative to appreciate the research work. Sir has given the support in giving us credentials that way, which is a big motivator to us. So we really are honored to have our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, who's taken his time to be part of us. So we welcome you, sir, and we welcome you to share your inputs on cyber crime and women and children as of today, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Shall I start?
Yes, please, sir.
Respected Professor Asha Shukla, Chief Patron of this program, who is the Vice Chancellor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, my colleagues, Dr. Janita Roslin, Program Coordinators, Dr. Kamala Beni, Manoj Kumar Gupta, Distinguished Administrative Coordinators, Dr. Murugavel, Registrar of this University, Sri Ajay Sharma, Registrar of Dr. Ambedkar University, and Program Conveners, Dr. Rupa Gunasilan, and other faculty members of Bharatiya University, and the keynote speakers, Dr. Nair, Dr. Mrs. Balasubramaniam, Professor Mani Meglai, Dr. White T. Archer, Dr. Jaya Hukan, Dr. Irene George, and so many other distinguished speakers. First of all, I would like to correct the statement of Dr. Janita. I born in a remote village, that is correct. Correct statement. But I topper. I was in the second position or third position throughout my career. So that is making me come up in my life to come to the first level. So we do our best for that. I'm happy that the Department of Human Studies of our university and Dr. Ambedkar University of Social Science in Madhya Pradesh, in collaboration with University Grants Commission, who gives funds for our Center for Women Studies, organizing this international webinar on human trafficking in pandemic COVID-19. At this juncture, I would like to tell that we are in Education 4, that is digital transformation. Number one, we have to prepare our curriculum and syllabus of all the subjects, incorporating all the components of digital transformation like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cyber, then mobile and all those things. So I'm happy to tell you that Bardea University, the cooperation of my colleagues, we were able to incorporate the digital transformation components into the curriculum and syllabus of all the courses, both humanities and science, not only in university department, even for our affiliated colleges. So when you go for the digital transformation, the pandemic situation has created an ambience for us to accept the digital transformation. No other go. We are not able to make our school children to go to the school. We are not able to see our college students. And mostly we are going for the digital components of learning process. When you go for these digital components, one way we are able to accept, we are able to train our people for the digital world, and also we have to face the situation of the negative aspects of digital transformation, which is the cyber crime. The NCRB data are alarming. In 2018, there are only 28,248 cyber cases, and 19, it is 44,546, and it is much more now. And wherever we have the human with the excellent brain, it also leads to tempting them to go for cybercrime. So data source is more in Karnataka, followed by UP, and so on. And among the union territories, Delhi is the one where we could see the more number of people because of it's a collective of the intelligent people, more number of intelligent people. So the people who are involved in developing the technology or digitization, they are intelligent. And those who are involved in cybercrime, they are more intelligent than them. They are number one, and we are number two. Now we have to chase them and protect our community, not only the student community, and also the business community. We have so many types of harassments through emails, through cyber stacking, cyber defamation, child pornography, cyber bullying, cyber grooming, and so on. So we have to be very, very careful in making our technology within our limit, and we should not be in a position to lose our things. The information technology solutions have made the way to a new world of internet, business networking, and e-banking, budding as a solution to reduce cost, change the sophisticated economic affairs to easier, speedy, and efficient. I saved nearly about 1 crore by way of not printing our syllabus or our academic calendar or any one of the materials related to that. So that is a cost effective. Now everything is in the website in the form of cloud or whatever the things it might be. At the same time, there is a risk of people misusing the activities that we are doing. Now, if you just look into cybercrime, any unlawful act where computer or communication device or computer network is used to commit or facilitate the commission of crime. Now, to overcome this problem, we have to sensitize and also educate our people. We have to educate our vice chancellors, we have to educate our police department, and we have to educate our teachers and students. The type of job that we are having now is not going to exist after 3 years. The type of job that we were having 3 years back, we don't have. So we have to continuously changing the syllabus, making the students to face the challenges of the present world, and also we have to sensitize our faculty members to accept the modern technology. At the same time, we have to also find out the way how we are going to protect ourselves. Now, when you go for the cyber crimes, unless it is a very sensitive case, it's very difficult to trace them. It has to be involved in top level police officials and the people who are having the app. You'll be able to provide the information only to the police department. When I joined in Bharatiya University as a vice chancellor, many number of email has gone to so many people asking them to put a little money in my account. They have shown some account. So I was trying to share them. We were able to go up to the level of finding out the computer from where it originated, IP numbers. So to get the details and where it is there, even now, after 1.5 years, we could not do that. Couple of webinars like this, where the local police DGP himself was the chief guest. I just requested him, not for anything, just for my curiosity, and they also could not do up till now. So these are the tiny things. Apart from that, there will be so many things. Blocking the business, taking away a huge number of amount from the bank accounts, and exploitation, especially the exploiting the woman, child abuse. These are the components which has to be seriously, it has to be looked into. I am extremely happy, Dr. Janita and my colleague, Dr. Kamalaveni, and other members of the Department of Women Studies, along with Ambedkar University, they identified a large number of subject experts, the right kind of people, like Dr. P.M. Nair. He is from the Indian Police Foundation. Then a large number of resource persons who are in this particular field for quite some time, like our Dr. Mani Meghale, who was our former Vice Chancellor of Mother Teresa University, then adjunct faculty from Emirates Institute of Banking, then Dr. Bhamadi and so many other people. I am very confident that this will sensitize the people. I want the Department of Women Studies to sensitize more and more common public also, so that whatever the ideas we are generating, it will reach the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dea ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful information. House is open for question and answer session. And I request Kamlani ma'am to request the participants to ask question if any.
Question from my talk? I am not expert.
No, sir. No, sir. Rajeshwari ma'am from Singapore is here, sir.
I will join with the group to ask question.
Yes, sir. Sir, Rajeshwari ma'am is here from Singapore, sir. She has just completed the session, and now we have 20 minutes of time for Q&A session, sir.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next, our Supreme Court lawyer will be joining us, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome to ask questions, ma'am, on my presentation. I've done on cybercrime and its impact on Singapore youth.
Zanita ma'am, to start with, I think you can initiate, ma'am.
Thank you for giving the time. I was waiting for that choice. So, Madam Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivas, I did listen to all that you were saying. You were talking about the rules on cyber crimes which was implemented in Singapore from May 2020. Is it right, ma'am?
May 2019.
2019. Okay, May 2019. Okay, so just after the pandemic started moving in, the law was implemented there. Is that
Yeah,
correct, ma'am?
actually, there were rules on cybercrimes earlier. But what I meant to say was, when cybercrime was targeted at women, only from 2019 May, the law was implemented for that. Before that, cybercrime was more of, like financial crimes and all these things.
Okay.
So the voyeurism and upskirting of photos, etc., were on the rise. And the people either poo-pooed it or they just tarnished it and moved ahead. But that should not be the case. They have to be punished.
Okay, ma'am. That is exactly the point I'm coming to. Now, the law was implemented in May 2019.
Yes.
We are now in July 2021.
That's right.
Could you kindly throw light as how the crimes have actually developed further and what kind of actions have been taken? Because I really wanted to take lessons from here, like what Susan was telling us. From your end, what kind of solutions we could provide through our research for further implications in Tamil Nadu. So could you please help me understand how it has changed in 2 years in Singapore?
Well, even before that law, as I said, Singapore is one of the most law-abiding societies in the world, I can say, because probably you have heard about it. It's the place where law is into execution. And one thing I'm very proud to say as a Singaporean is this: Singapore is, I use the word law abiding because Singapore is a place where 100% the strong hands of law will come down. That is true. But I would also like to compliment the Singaporeans as such, who are basically a law abiding society. From kindergarten, even from kindergarten, you can't see kids just like that running around and jaywalking in the streets. They have been taught the very first lesson before ABC. They have been taught us how to cross the road with road safety and all these things. And if ever a granny is about to throw a piece of paper on anywhere in the street, if a 4-year-old sees you, she will run and catch you and take that paper and put it in the dustbin and go back. It's that kind of a society. That's why when cyber crimes like stalking, online pornography, all these things targeted at women were considered as a nuisance before. Until the incident I told you, the girl who was photographed and videographed in shower, until she complained, all these things have changed. Now, 2 to 5 years of severe imprisonment. Apart from that, for anyone who does it, if you are a student, you are suspended from your university for 1 full semester on top of the legal action taken by the police force. And one more thing in Singapore is, as long as no touching, it goes like that. But the moment your finger is placed on an unwilling person, then comes the act of caning. Even
Okay.
today, caning is quite common in Singapore for several of the
Oh.
crimes that are targeted at women. For I mean, like here, cases like rape and all these things are very, very less, very less. Molesting is there, yes, molesting is there, but molesting, I found more molesting happens. Only one particular sector of people are doing it, especially the foreign immigrant workers. They are often caught in this, not because they are criminals by nature, but because they do not know what's happening. For example, I'm also a Telugu language interpreter for the state courts in Singapore. In one of the recent cases, I was shocked to see that a guy from some remote village in Andhra has come down to work in Singapore, and he's a construction worker. And he was telling me in Telugu, "Oh my God, why? I just touched the girl. I just patted on her butt. I just grabbed her from. I just grabbed her left shoulder. For this, you mean they are going to put me in jail and do caning and all?" I said, "Yes, of course. All these are considered crime here." Then the judge asked him, "Why?" He asked me to say, "Why did he do that? First, let us give the benefit of doubt to him." What the guy replied, I was so I was so ashamed, and I felt very embarrassed to translate into English to the judge, because the guy replied, "Madam Haru, what do you mean? These things are never considered crime in my country." Which is your country? India. Uh-huh. So how? In India, if I do that, it's not considered a crime. I'm not punished for these simple things. Maybe rape may be considered a crime, but still they'll ask the girl, "Why did you go there when he was there?" They will not, their first hand will not point out towards me. Our country is more used to victim blaming, he said. All these things he said in Telugu. I felt very bad, and I said, "You are not right. Exactly what you say is not 100% true. There's an awareness, etc." And the judge said, "People like you are making use of this as an excuse to commit more crimes wherever you come." Like that, it went on. Why do I share this information here is, we have to educate not only our daughters, you be cautious, you be safe, you do this, you do that, etc. And as a society, we should stop victim blaming. If cyber crimes have to be stopped also, instead of always asking, "Why did you click that link to your daughter?" we also have to tell our sons, "You cannot ask another woman to switch on the camera and ask her to send all these kind of compromising photographs and so on and so forth." And of course, we have to treat our girls and boys alike. This is called gender equality, not anything else. Actual
Yes.
gender equality is teaching law to both of them. And recently, Dr. Shanmugam, the minister in Singapore, he shared this. Gender inequality happens in the society because you, the parents, did not decide to treat your son and your daughter equally.
True. True. Okay. I think that was a very elaborate and convincing explanation, ma'am.
Thank you
True.
very much, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yesterday, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
Irene also was discussing regarding UAE and the rules there. She was also so proud that it is very much a safe place. So I think we are also on the move. We'll make Tamil Nadu Fest a really good place, because gender sensitization, gender equality, gender budgeting, all these are small components, but we have started the ball rolling. It
Very good
is
to say.
on the move. It is
Very
on the move. Yeah,
The
change
Vice
takes some
Chancellor
time.
wanted to ask something.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir. Mr. VC wanted to ask something. Yes, sir.
Really? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He raised his hand.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
I would like to ask one question.
Yes, Professor.
We are having postgraduate program in women's studies.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how far the job opportunities are more. Now looking into the cyber crime, especially against women increasing day by day, shall we can have two things. Number one, PG program in women's studies with cyber crime. There will be about 30% of the curriculum. They will be studying the cyber crime, where the faculty members from the law college and all other things will be involved, computer people and all will be involved. or they can do the PG in Women Studies with a diploma in cyber security.
Oh, excellent.
What might be, I want your view on that.
Sir, what you suggest would be an excellent course because it's a kind of, it's not only a PG program you're suggesting, you're also suggesting a kind of an awareness to be created among women. But my only opinion is this cybercrime awareness will be a little bit too late when it comes to PG program. I personally feel that this has to be started at primary one. At
No, this is for sensitizing our students to teach the others.
yeah. In that case, at least starting with primary one, about 5 years old or 6 year old kids have to be taught. Unfortunately, considering the kind of a child pornography that's being circulated as part of the cybercrime syndicate, we really have to focus on that. And if I may suggest, Professor, if you could include something on this also, along with your cybercrime program as part of the gender studies, that would really help because many gender studies student would go on to become a mom and naturally they will go on to become teachers elsewhere and they'll go on to become psychiatric counselors or psychological counselors. They could develop us all these taking into account how the syndicate works and how does it target. It's they no longer target 10-year-old or 12-year-old or 16-year-old. They nowadays target a 3-year-old and 4-year-old who unsuspectingly switches on the dad's smartphone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would like to take 1 minute for both of you to understand. In the MA Women Studies program, we have already inbuilt some programs on the cyber security for women, cyber security for children. It is coming in between. But now, since it is becoming in a higher level, as rightly talked by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, we are really looking forward to take it up as an exclusive diploma add-on with the MA Women Studies. And as Madam is telling, so when we give a student out with all these qualifications, they will become eligible to teach or create awareness even among schools. It comes that way, Madam. And slowly we could also, yes, Madam.
Actually, Professor VC could even permit the university to conduct workshops, awareness workshops, etc.
Sure.
Like as a training session for his own students.
Yes.
Even you can invite kindergarten students and primary students as a part of workshop. University workshop need not necessarily be for adults. Your students will have a practice session, teaching practice. All this. It's only my suggestion, sir, with due respect to your.
Sure.
Yes, Madam. Yes, Madam. Yes, Madam. Sir will always take the initiative to support us. So we will create awareness for, we have affiliated colleges which have undergraduate courses. Okay. And then also we have schools who can be associated. We will definitely take it up, Madam. Sir will always help us. That was a nice opinion. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rosalie.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So the participants can go ahead with the question if anybody has. The forum is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can type their questions in chat box also?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, ma'am. Please.
I'm Professor Molly Kurivilla from Calicut University Women's Studies. I would like to tell you something regarding the cyber awareness program that is being run by the National Commission for Women. I do the program as 4-day program with 1 hour duration each day. It is totally free. We just write to them, inform them that our university is interested in conducting the program. They will come and they will do everything. 1 hour each day. So it's an excellent program on cyber awareness run by the National Women's Commission. If it is not yet done in your university, I would like to request Professor Senita to take up that immediately.
Yes,
Okay,
madam.
thank you.
Yes, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion. Definitely will do, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Thank you so much for your suggestions,
Yeah.
ma'am. I request participants to type their questions. They can also type their questions in chat box.
Madam, again, I would like to talk to Rajeshwari, madam.
Yes,
Madam.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. See, you're talking about the awareness level in school level and higher level. I'm
Yes.
really concerned about the control mechanisms because we have now reached one level of generation and a patriarchal society. All the add-ons is there. Now, to one level only we can talk about the school children. But when you're talking about the perpetrators or the people who are actually committing the mistake or trying to do, as our vice chancellors are rightly said, people who are really knowledgeable are the people who are doing this.
Yeah.
The current generation of my generation, I would include my generation because I am not 100% techno savvy. I'm still, so my age group or many of us may not be much of techno savvies. It is the next generation who are all techno savvies. But if you say the creators are people who are trying to lure people, who are trying to take them in from their weakness, taking. So I think here at the initial level, creating awareness to the younger generation, yes, it is important. But I think the crux and the real problem is about the control measures to punish people who are doing this. I think that is where our system is really, really having a big gap. For example, we are all quoting on the 2013 incident, though I do not want to really specify the incident. We are talking about that incident after 8 years because we had to wait for 7 years to get justice for that incident. Whereas you are talking about in Singapore how the law was just like that created in 3 months of something showing up. So there is a lot of lag in how the control mechanisms are put in place. If we are able to do something there, then the awareness can also slowly simultaneously happen. I think that is really so needed here, don't you think, ma'am?
Exactly. And one more thing is, as I said, for example, if a criminal has to be punished, and if law has to work properly, there's
Yes.
something else that is needed. In Singapore, that something else functions well. That is CCTV cameras in practically everywhere. See,
Okay.
in just now the case I shared with you about the guy who committed a
Yes,
crime
yes,
against a woman,
yes, yes.
he did it in a small hardware shop. He went to buy
Okay,
some paint or something from there, and it happened in a hardware shop.
okay.
Believe it or not, in a backyard, back alley hardware
Mm,
shop,
mm,
CCTV
mm.
camera was there.
Okay.
This is what. And if you go and complain, nobody believes your complaint. This is a society where women and men
Yes,
are treated alike. So,
yes,
if your complaint will be taken into account, the girl will have to complain, and the
yes,
CCTV evidence is needed. And if there is no CCTV evidence, another third party evidence is needed. So
yes,
without that, it doesn't function. But in
yes.
Singapore, luckily, even if something has happened in a car park inside a car, there is CCTV everywhere, and
Everywhere.
people can easily fix it. That's what I mean.
Okay.
There is nothing
Correct,
that my CCTV was not working. No.
correct, 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 correct,
If the
correct.
company says the CCTV was not working, that person is considered a criminal, the company itself.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so the overall societal view, the overall approach towards it should be really so, so clear, and we all have to move in together. I think that is what we need.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And basically, ma'am, I personally feel that the moment we stop victim blaming,
correct,
entire society will change. Because
correct,
stop instead of asking your daughter,
correct,
why
correct.
why did you go on for an online chatting with that guy? We should
Okay,
say yes. What you did was wrong. Okay.
correct.
Apart from that, explain how did it arrive there? How did you arrive there?
Correct.
You
Good
see,
question. Yes,
the
yes.
thing is, it depends upon parenting as well. From very young, see, cybercrime and parenting are not isolated issues. From
Yes.
very young, the more, I will not say it is the mother's responsibility, sorry. It is the responsibility of both the parents. And
Correct.
from very young, we have to encourage our children to talk to us, plain talking. Talk to us on anything. Talk to us on anything. No taboo. No taboo topic. The moment you allow them to talk to us on anything, then slowly all this will come. You will know whether your boy and girl are thinking in the right track or doing something else. I don't say we need to necessarily put religion into their mind. I only say we need to put necessarily moral principles into their mind from birth.
Precisely.
Not,
Very true.
not based on any religion. You belong to any
Yes.
religion, you be irreligious, you believe in God, you don't believe in God. That's not my concern. That's not my area. What I
Correct.
mean is, as a human being, your son cannot come and say, "Oh, mom, that girl was peace." You really have to slap on his mouth for that.
Correct.
That's what.
True. That is what even the United Nations are also recommending. Children are born equal, raise them equal. So we bear this responsibility, and we in women's studies and all our fraternity in the country are taking our steps forward. Hope we see the change soon.
Yes, ma'am. I hope so too.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Dr. Jaya, madam. Dr. Kamlavini, Dr. Jaya.
Yeah, ma'am. So
Yeah.
participants, I don't think they have question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I think so now it is 11:18, ma'am. So we have another 12 more minutes, ma'am. So I think
Okay.
Zenita ma'am can consolidate the whole day talk.
Okay.
And
Okay.
next we'll have Ravi sir joining us at 11:30, ma'am.
Okay.
So he will take 10 minutes and then we'll wind up the session. That's all, ma'am.
Okay. I consolidate and again sir will come.
One more talk is there, ma'am, because he has gotten an appointment, so he has just left. So he's joined and he'll just address, ma'am. So he's not, he'll just address the.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that will
Thank
be
you.
fine.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
Okay.
1:49.
Yes,
I request you
Yes.
to let me go if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
don't mind, please. I have an afternoon session for work.
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, ma'am. Sorry, I
Yeah.
couldn't stay back because I forgot that it is already 1:49 and in 10 minutes I have to go for my
Thank you
next
so
work.
much, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Dr. Kamaliveni, for this grand opportunity. And thank you, Dr. Rosalind, for allowing me to explore myself more. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You've been a real eye opener. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you
Lot of
very
your
much.
ideas will be carried
Thank you,
over.
ma'am.
We will keep you
Thank you so
informed,
much.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Manoj Gupta.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sunita, ma'am, you can proceed,
Yes.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the time. I think I will just sum up today's deliberations. To start with, it was Dr. Susan Shaw, Professor, Gender and Sexuality Studies of Oregon State University. Madam was very explicit in expressing all her details about how the domestic violence against women in the US has increased by 20% during the pandemic. Madam had given clear details of how women are forced to stay at home because of the pandemic, and many have lost their jobs, the small time workers, and because of want of new jobs, people are trying to take up professions, and when they are not able to patch up with family, then they are prone to domestic violence. And the data was showing that the increase in domestic violence was really getting into alarming rates. Then so women were compromising themselves to take up jobs, or they were allowing them to be used to take up jobs for a living, so which was also so very sad in today's status. So, what Dr. Susan was trying to say is that all the women and the people have to be made aware of have to be made aware of what are the different details that people have to be concerned about taking up jobs, and what are the security measures they have to be really aware in taking up all these online details, and how they have to be concerned, and how the society as a whole has to take care of women development, and how the laws also have to support the women and taking care of their jobs, like flexi timing works or giving them better job options based on their qualifications, considering the need of the hour. So she put together as how the situation is and how the law has to be really changed to help women. Then second speaker was Madam Deepika. She was really very concerned about the holistic outlook of the society towards the societal development. She really discussed a lot about what were the cases which were handled, what were the different types of cases against women, what were the different cyber crimes, how they have been lured, or how innocent women have been lured into different kind of crimes because of their very pathetic positions, and how the women have to be really aware. And it is not an independent look, it is a societal look. The society as such, though it is a patriarchal society, the society as such have to be aware of the holistic outlook of women development, and because of women development there will be societal development. This holistic approach has to be brought about. So she was very, she said there should be empathy among us. We have to have empathy in all areas to look into the women being in a patriarchal society. We should consider every woman as our equal. As said, it should be an equal society. It should be a man woman equal society. There should be equal space. There should be good understanding and respect. So this will take some time, because all over the country to have a holistic change, yes, it will take some time. But there is nothing like impossible. We in our own areas, if we are able to create the change, we will definitely able to bring about the change. So about the okay. Okay, she also emphasized on one more thing, that how all the police personnel and the court officials and the other officers who are working with such affected women, like rape victims or cyber crime in victims, they should be aware that all these victims may not express themselves in variations of sound or objections. Sometimes it may be silence, sometimes it may be resilience. But even at such times, these officials should be willing to understand, identify the crime, and support them. This was one different perception that she gave, which was really interesting to understand, because all people do not express their difficulties. So, affected in victims should be really given hand. That is one part of it. First, prevention is better than cure. Yes, once the crime has happened, we also have to identify them and see how they will be able to overcome the difficulties and get back into normal life. So that was one perception she gave. Then, of course, Dr. Rajeshwari Srinivasan Madam had a real elaborate discussion about how she has been working in the Singapore fraternity of student level and with her colleagues there, and how Singapore was such a crime-free environment. And from 2019 May, after the pandemic and after the incident where that student had wired a detail of a girl, then it was taken seriously and laws have been imposed and have been really strict. Now she has really made it be understood that we should be aware of the unfamiliar links. See, she really gave very clear approach to do not fall prey to wrong emails coming to us. Then do not fall prey to false links coming to us and offers coming to us. Then she was talking about with there are in Facebook people who are posting with wrong photographs, with photographs of film personalities, with photographs of younger generation people. So all that is really not true in today's world. The truth is only each looking at people and talking and real time. And I think in the last discussions that we had, Madam was talking about how we as parents have to spend time with our children, because we are also online with our programs. Children are online with their classes, and otherwise online with so many other online details going on. We really do not have good family time like how we all grew up. I think that is one thing that we in our department of women's studies of Bharatiya University, when we go around doing the gender sensitization program all around the globe, even when we visit our Oregon State University, have been emphasizing real time conversation with children is so important. Spending time with family, spending time with each other is so important, because that is an icebreaker. We tend to share our feelings and emotions, and we are able to clearly let out, because today this online is kind of let out for people, which really is one big reason for them to get into unwanted luring. In that case, children, yes, we are also having an important responsibility of interacting with children so that they understand that online, because today's LKG child does not know what is a real going to school with uniform mean, because for them it is all online. So we have to really understand their levels of understanding of real life. We need to spend time with them, interact with them, make them understand. And very clearly Madam said, nothing has to be actually linked with religion. Yeah, very true. Human values and morality is not actually patched with religion. It is actually a human way of living. This interaction will definitely help a family be strong. A strong family will build the society. A good society will help the country. Seeing this is the pattern we are supposed to follow. And I think, and what our Professor Dr. P. Kaliraj, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, definitely spent very valuable time talking about how we have to be aware of how the programs can be consulted, and how the awareness has to be created, and how we all should work as a society, how the education to the students have to be given awareness in all levels of cyber security. I think all the speakers have given their valuable work, and I thank Professor Dr. Moli Kuruvilla Madam, who spent her time and who's sharing time with us, a well-wisher always, who also gave us the correct direction as how we can log on to NCW, the National Commission for Women, for this course, which will also be taken up. So I thank Dr. Kamlaveni, my colleague, my support, who's done a lot of work in getting all these people in here. Thank you, Dr. Kamlaveni and Dr. Jaya Pukan, for supporting us in moderation for today's program.
And
Hope
Manish
to
Gupta
be
sir also, ma'am.
Okay, I really didn't have time to interact with sir. Thank you, Dr. Manish sir. You've been
Thank you.
around, and for all the technical support from your end, I should
Yes.
say.
Ravi
Yeah.
sir is here, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all
Yes, sir. Thank you so
okay.
much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Jaya,
So
ma'am, you can please proceed.
yes. Podium yours. Thank you for your time.
Very good suggestions came up during the discussion session. And first of all, there is a need to start courses on cybercrime and at higher education level. And there is a need of awareness on cyber crime. For that, programs for parents, teachers, and students should be organized. And the third is that we can prepare curriculum and modules jointly by preparing them in workshop mode. And we can prepare modules curriculum for our universities and schools on cybercrime, cyber security. So very good suggestions came up during the discussion period. Thank you so much, ma'am, Zenita ma'am. And now, we wanted to know that if Ravi sir has joined.
Okay.
Yes, I have joined, and I will start right away.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, so
Should I introduce him?
yes, so we have discussed in this 2-day workshop a lot of things, especially in terms of human trafficking and combating human trafficking and investigating and various cyber crime and other issues. Now I have to speak on the issue of access to justice and welfare for victims of human trafficking. This is a very gray area over the in terms when we see what happens to victims of human trafficking. I have seen over the years experts getting more, strengthened, UN agencies doing jobs for many years, and all types of government agencies, bureaucrats, everyone doing their bits, but nothing has been done on rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking. They are just left on their own, and only another form of welfare, victim compensation, is presently reaching them. Otherwise, rehabilitation is a complete gray area which needs attention of everyone. And I'm very happy that the government has now drafted the bill on human trafficking, redrafted it, and it is already in the public domain. And the new law will take care of rehabilitation and other issues. But when we talk about justice, justice means for the victim, for the victim family, justice means that my child or my son or my daughter has returned. But for the victim who has gone through the trauma and the exploitation, it is very important that the victim knows that the people who perpetrated the exploitation on the victim have been punished. That doesn't happen, and therefore the law needs to be strengthened in terms of prosecution of traffickers. But in terms of providing support to victims, a victim who has gone through so much of fundamental rights violation, that victim needs to be supported by the state. I have worked with thousands of victims of human trafficking, and I have not known a single case where the state has provided rehabilitation support to the victim. It may be a small piecemeal support, but no welfare scheme, and therefore it is very important that proper rehabilitation program needs to be brought, and not rehabilitation programs which are taught in the shelter homes, but rehabilitation programs like access to bank accounts, access to bank loans, access to training on skills. These things are not provided, and therefore these victims continue to remain vulnerable. They are already vulnerable. After trafficking, they are more vulnerable, and they continue to remain vulnerable, and many a times these victims go through re-trafficking. So it is very important that rehabilitation needs to be taken care of. Another issue in terms of access to justice is victim compensation. I'm very happy that most state governments are doing it. The only thing is that accessing compensation needs to be more ironed out. It should be an easy process for victims. It should not be waiting for the conviction of the trafficker or waiting for the arrest of the trafficker. It should be, since the victim has already gone through a lot of exploitation, it becomes very difficult to delay it. So victim compensation is happening in many states. Victims are getting the compensation, and therefore that is a that needs to be strengthened more, so that this money can be used by the victims. In terms of knowing what is happening in the trials, see, most of these victims are victims of poverty, victims who are extremely poor, who have been from very far-flung places. They are not able to participate in the prosecution, and they don't have any track of what has happened in the prosecution case. It is only between the police and the perpetrator of the crime, the case. The victim, of course, there is CRPC provision that the victim has the right to intervene, but most of victims of human trafficking don't know how to do it or will have no access to lawyers. Even legal aid will not doesn't provide them support. So victims need to be properly provided legal aid and involved into this crime. So, access to justice is very important. Victims need to know that what's happening in their cases. The victim needs to see that traffickers have been properly punished through better investigation, and then there are also several multiple other issues in terms of witness protection. Victims mostly are threatened by traffickers, and therefore the Supreme Court judgment in Mahendra Chawla case needs to be strengthened because and implemented, because victims of human trafficking needs this support from the state agencies. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for them to depose before the courts. So these are some of my observation in terms of. So it is one thing is to rescue. The other important thing is to take care of the victim, to provide them the support, to provide them the helping support, which will come from prosecution, which will come from a proper rehabilitation, which will come from proper access to justice to through legal support councils, and all of this are required. And the victim needs to be provided support that she is not re-trafficked, and witnesses don't try to threaten them. The last thing is also important, that many of these victims have gone through intense crime. They need trauma counseling, they need proper support from various state agencies, and that is also missing, and therefore we need to ensure all of this. It becomes a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, when we see the victims of human trafficking, I don't find them getting any support, because it's completely gray area. Access to justice and rehabilitation, these are all gray areas. We have been trying to bring in this legislation for long period of time, since 2007, but unfortunately things have not moved. Even the present draft law, I am thinking, is we are seeing that there is a lot of opposition coming. So let's keep our finger crossed and see that the law gets passed. Otherwise, the victims are just left out in the lurch. Thank you, Kamlavani.
Yeah, ma'am, are you there?
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful presentation. And access to justice is very important. You highlighted that. And just a brief introduction about the sir, because we missed it. He's the president of Shakti Vahini and advocate of the Court of India. He has been in development sector since the last 22 years, a law graduate from the campus law center at Delhi University. His field of interest are child rights, human rights, and access to justice. In 1988, he founded Shakti Vahini, a leading non-profit organization, and has been leading the fight against human trafficking, gender violence, child abuse, and HIV in several trainings involving the police department, law enforcement agencies, civil society, and grassroots organizations. Also involved in various public interest litigation in Supreme Court and High Court for rights of women and children. He is a regular visitor to Academy and Judicial Academies as guest lecturer on juvenile justice, violence against women, and anti-trafficking initiatives. Okay, awarded along with his brother Nishikant, with the Solidarity Award in Vital Voices, Washington, and he drafted many reports on the behalf of Government of India, Trafficking in India report, on report on honor killing, on the behalf of National Commission for Women. So this was my submission. Thank you so much, sir, for coming for your time, and all the participants for their patient listening. And I now request Kamla Veni ma'am to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected Madam Asha Shukla, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Science, Mahu, Madhya Pradesh, respected Professor Dr. P. Kaliraj Sir, Vice Chancellor, Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, who are the backbone of organizing these two webinars, yesterday and today. I extend my wholehearted thanks to the distinguished keynote speakers, PM Nair Sir, Bhamati Ma'am, Manimeghlan Ma'am, our young speaker Irene George, Whitney Archer, Jaya Pukan Ma'am, Rupa Gunasilan Madam, Dr. Zenita Roslin Ma'am, Professor Susan Shaw from Oregon State University, Deepika Suri Ma'am, Rajeshwari Ma'am, Dr. Ravikant Sir. He was so busy, in spite of his busy schedule, he made his time to come over here. So I extend my heartfelt thanks to you, sir. And I also extend my heartfelt thanks to Rajeshwari ma'am who took time to discuss and elaborate on the cyber crimes. I also thank the administrative coordinators of Bharatiya University and Dr. Ambedkar University of Social Science. I thank all the professor friends from Bharatiya University and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University and participant friends from all over the world. It was all a great opportunity to meet you all on this virtual platform. And I extend my heartfelt thanks for sparing your 2 days time with us, that is yesterday and today. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my heartfelt thanks to the technical support offered by the IT department of Ambedkar University. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. There is always something to be thankful for. Not what we say about our blessing, but how we use them is the true measure of our thanksgiving. When I started counting my blessing, the whole life turned. So with this feeling of gratitude, I thank all the technical staffs, electricians, photographers and press for doing their work on time. To protect women in war times, we must first make sure women receive the equal rights in times of peace, says Machi. With this word in the mindset, let us protect our women and children from human trafficking and cyber crimes, especially during the times of crimes. Thank you so much. The feedback link is shared in the portal. Kindly fill the feedback form and you can leave. Thank you so much for the patience time. I thank each and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day to all.
Thank you.
Good day to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nila. Thank you for joining
Oh,
us.
thank you so much, Professor. Great initiative. I congratulate both departments. Women's Department from
Thank
Bharatiya
you so
University
much.
and Dr. Ambedkar University. Lovely resource persons, very informative. You opened our eyes. Thank you.
Thank you for the appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Jam. Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you,
And we
everyone.
have we
Thank you,
finished the work.
Kamalini ma'am, for wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chitra ma'am. Thank you.
Very nicely arranged 2 days. Very nice. So more informative session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Congrats, madam. சூப்பரா பண்ணிட்டீங்க. வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, well, sir.
வாழ்த்துக்கள். நேற்று சடனா ஈவினிங் பண்ணியிருந்தீங்க வந்துட்டேன். இப்போ காலையில் ஜஸ்ட் கரெக்டாக இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணியிருந்தீங்க. சூப்பராக இருந்துச்சுங்க. வாழ்த்துக்கள், வாழ்த்துக்கள் மேடம். கங்க்ராச்சுலேஷன்ஸ்.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
ஓகே மேடம். தேங்க்யூ மேடம்.